Your first concert. So,
yeah.
So what was that like?
Our first concert. Oh gosh. I feel really bad for saying this. Like, we had a meeting with our boss, and our boss was like, "You're always gonna remember your first concert because like this is a life-changing experience."
That sounds really threatening.
No, but it was
You'll
like,
remember this.
But it's like it's gonna be such a magical moment in your life.
Sure.
Right.
I was so nervous. I don't remember a single thing. So every single time, like every anniversary that our group has, we always have this interview where it's like, you know, you like look back at your past and be like, what do you remember, you know, at your first concert? And I'm like, I don't remember a single thing. So I was so nervous.
I just spawned, bro. Like, I don't remember anything.
Yeah. But our first live, I actually sprained my ankle.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
It was like an open rehearsal where people could watch. On the first number,
Yeah.
I
Right.
fell.
Oh,
And
shit.
sprained my ankle.
Oh my God.
So that part I remember, but everything else I don't.
Wait, so how many, did you have to continue with the rest of the rehearsal? Or?
Yeah, I didn't even know how bad it was sprained,
Yeah.
but like the next day I went to the doctors and they gave me crutches and I'm like, oh, so it's
Oh,
bad,
shit.
bad.
Oh my God.
God
But
damn.
the adrenaline and everything got
Yeah,
me
yeah.
going. And
Yeah.
yeah.
like damaging it more. You're
Yeah.
gonna like snap it.
But my it was my left leg, but it was already kind of screwed up with figure skating for so long.
Yeah, so that's one thing I wanted to get into. Like, how did you get into the figure skating thing?
Figure skating, there was this Japanese drama called Praido.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a hockey drama called Praido, and my dad was so into it.
Right.
And he was like, "Do you want to go figure skating tomorrow?" Like this, the next day he saw an
Yeah.
yeah. So we went, and apparently I was really good. Like I got scouted by the coach.
Oh, jeez.
So I started, but then again, the problem was I was so bad at like, you know, the public eye.
Right,
It just
right.
wasn't my thing. So the reason I quit was because I had a panic attack after my short program. In my last competition, I was like, this thing is just not for me. So like, because that happened, still to this day, I don't know how I'm an idol still and performing in front
Yeah,
of
it
people.
sounds like this is the worst line of work.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like, considering how nervous you are on stage and how, as you say, you're not good on stage, like you've managed to find yourself in situations where you have to perform on stage.
Yeah.
You know?
So I pretend that when I'm an idol, I just pretend that I'm an undercover spy.
Wait, so explain the thought process of that. Like,
So, you know, like as somebody who wanted to be a voice actor only,
yeah.
and you know, who didn't really want to perform on stage, if you think that you're a spy, you know, and you're like, I'm only doing this, like this isn't my job, like I'm only here to know what happens behind closed doors, you know.
Oh, I
like,
see.
so I can
Right.
experience what like other people can't see, you know.
Yeah,
like, even
yeah.
the documentaries won't show you.
Right,
Okay,
right,
okay.
right.
So I feel really cool while doing it.
You are literally the definition of fake it till you make it. You know? It's
That's crazy.
that is impressive. How long between like you getting the audition was there between like doing your first live and performing for the first time?
It was only like 6 months. It was even before we debuted.
Okay.
We had our first live. So yeah, it really wasn't that long.
Okay.
So after this first performance, did you just like have fans right away?
Yes, because the producer was, of course,
Oh, it's
Akiimoto
very
Yasushi-san. So
interesting.
people,
Right.
yeah, and you know, Sony Music and
How
Aniplex.
was that?
It was overwhelming. I was like, there are people who like me? That's a first. I'm not used to that.
There's
So.
even like fans, Japanese fans as well, right? It must be so bizarre thinking like, damn, I just showed up here and you guys like me?
Yeah, but like I felt really happy because again, my goal was to be somebody like Sugita Tomokazu was to me, you know.
Right.
So I felt really happy when people were like, "You motivated me to pursue my dream as well," or you know, like you make me really happy. That makes me really happy as well.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. I'm curious, like, what the training process for an idol is. You said there was like 6 months. Like, what is the process between you becoming an idol and doing your live?
Well, because majority of our members were still in school and almost half weren't even from Tokyo. So we only had
okay.
lessons during Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
And it was like the full day we would have dance practice and also voice acting lessons as well and singing lessons. And we would have like acting tests on Christmas Day.
Acting tests?
Yeah.
Happy
They at least-
Christmas.
Yeah, Merry-
Give you some
yeah.
KFC or something. It's like, hey,
but
it's
it
like-
was-
Have a drumstick, recite the entirety of Pulp Fiction right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess because we had an upcoming anime coming up, and
Right.
we also had characters, but those characters weren't really official yet.
Right.
Right.
You know, so we had to have like a lot of acting tests to see like who would fit which character. So everybody was like really serious about it. But I was like, really, on Christmas Day? Like, don't you guys have families?
I guess Christmas isn't that big of a thing, right? So
I guess,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Especially
the
in
KFC
Japan.
Corporation.
Yeah.
so we would have really stressful acting tests, and they would give you like a report card.
What does an acting test look like in Japan?
So for our group, it was reciting uirouri. It's like a tongue twister in Japan. Like a lot of voice actors do it in voice acting school. It's
Yeah,
like
but
a
I
really,
saw them all practicing
Yeah.
tongue twisters.
it's like
Constantly.
a 10-minute tongue twister.
What
Yeah,
the
it's
heck?
Yeah.
really, really long.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't associate your quality to act with your ability to do a tongue twister. I just feel like that's
I feel like, especially in anime though, like tongue twisters are really important.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially if you have to like speak fast and make
Yeah.
the enunciation sound perfect and natural as
Yeah.
well. Like I
Yeah.
think tongue twisters is a great way of like kind of practicing enunciation, especially.
Yeah, I could see how it's practicing enunciation, but I wouldn't, in my mind, I wouldn't think that I wouldn't want to be judged on my ability to act based on if I did like red truck, fucking blue truck fast. You know what I mean? I
Can't even say
can't
that.
fucking do it, no,
Do you
no.
mean red leather, yellow leather?
Or like whatever, there's like a bunch you say. Like it's just seems so arbitrary.
Yeah.
To kind of be like, no, you can't act. Why? Well, he failed on the tongue twister.
He didn't say
Yeah.
Peter Piper properly,
Yeah, like,
and you know.
She sold she sells somewhere else. I don't know where. You know, I just feel like it'd be such an arbitrary decision, but I guess it makes sense as well. And the way you described it,
Yeah.
like, just
Yeah.
can't imagine it.
It was based on like how loud your voice was as well while you did those tongue twisters.
Really?
So what, you had to like
Yeah.
shout it?
Yeah, because you know, in Japanese, hasse,
Yeah.
like how you know how you
Yeah,
Right.
say things. It's really important, I guess, especially in the voice acting industry.
Yeah.
So hasse and your tongue twister and those things were like just the basic things that you had to be perfect at.
I feel like it's the opposite problem when I was doing voice acting. People were too loud. So
Ah,
they would get
really?
too into it.
Yeah.
Stop. Less is more.
Yeah, true.
What do you mean?
People sometimes they emote too much on lines, right? They get too loud. It's a shouting line, but you're not trying to blow the mic out. You're trying to shout, not be like. There's a difference between shouting and just having a lot of volume.
Yeah.
And those two things are very different. It's like the way I'd like to describe it is like, you know, sometimes your dad would shout at you, but he wasn't loud at you, but you knew you were in shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, right? It's like he was shouting and
Depends on the dad, right?
Well, the intensity.
In my dad's
definitely got
case, the
across.
quieter he was, the more shit I was in.
Exactly.
Conveying intensity without relying on volume.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of a concept that you have to.
I think
try
as
to
well,
work
there's like an interesting, I guess, like cultural difference with like Japanese acting
Absolutely,
versus
yeah.
English acting. Whereas like, you know, a lot of like, say like Hollywood movies, you know, there's a lot of like scenes where it's very quiet and very like, you know, expressive, but in a very like subtle way.
Yeah.
You know, like to the point where like you'd watch like a Matthew McConaughey movie and you'd be like, I actually can't make out what the fuck he's saying because he's so quiet and so mumbly. Whereas with a lot of like Japanese stuff, like not just anime, but like even live action stuff, it's all about like projecting and like
yeah.
it's more like
Oh,
a
God, yeah.
stage play
yeah.
than
Yeah.
like how
Pantomime.
you would do in a movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just like what you described is basically just a lot of like anime voice acting, which is, I guess, more over the top
Yeah.
and emotive than you would say get in a Hollywood film
Yeah.
because it's so weird seeing live action Japanese actors, you know, in like a live action TV drama. Because sometimes I see the way they act and I'm like, they are not acting like people. They're acting like anime characters.
yeah,
you know?
totally.
Well, I think that's why one of the most critically acclaimed films that came out of Japan, most recent memory was God, was that one with where they were driving around a lot and the husband died or something? It was, I forgot what it's called. it was the one
Literally every J drama.
but I guess because it was way more of a subtle and way more
Yeah.
a lot more toned down and more
Yeah.
realistic. I forgot
Well-
what it was called. I think it was nominated for an Oscar. I think I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, I guess that, like, you know, this is going completely off topic now, but on the topic of this, that's why I really enjoyed the voice acting of Beastars
Yes.
because it felt way more natural and way more, it was almost like live action, you know, they weren't speaking over the top, even if there were some really intense scenes there, it felt way more like a Western Hollywood film in terms of like its approach to acting and
Yeah.
its approach to like,
And then I
recording
feel
that.
especially with Beastars, like when that got translated to the English dub as well, I feel like the dub voice actors just sounded so much more natural than a lot of other like dubs that I've heard, because it's like the nature of the show already, with like, you know, the fact that the whole thing was mocapped and the actors were actually mocapped while doing the lines and everything. So
Yeah.
it's like, it just felt more like, oh, I'm actually like listening to people talk rather than like anime characters in a
Yeah.
weird way. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, out of curiosity, when you were doing the voice acting school and the voice acting training, was there any kind of like lessons or training in terms of like actually getting into a character as opposed to just kind of like emoting and saying lines?
There was actually no acting at all for the first couple of months. Well, I mean,
Okay.
Well then,
I actually have a question. Did you have much of an acting background in the States before?
never.
Okay.
I took acting as an elective in middle school for one trimester.
Okay, so like
And
nothing.
yeah, and I didn't get a single line.
I was just there.
Yeah. I was the bunny C.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, I had
You can't
no
act in
act.
America, go to Japan? Is that
Yeah.
the lesson?
Yeah, there was like absolutely no way for me to practice acting before
Yeah.
I came here, so I would
Yeah.
have to like make up my own
Yeah.
ways
Yeah.
of practicing.
Acting
Yeah.
is very clicky in the West, at least when I was growing up. I wanted to
Yeah.
try. I remember I wanted to try and do it, and it was already the theater kids were already well established who the theater kids were.
Yeah.
And it was like, you cannot become a theater kid.
Don't
You
pretend
are-
you're one of us.
You are an in between a kid. You belong in the middle. You're not associated with a group. Stay where you are.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
come in our group.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot, but at least you were able to make it work here.
Somehow.